All right, so Samsung, they launched the S24. Oh my gosh, another new phone. Yay. But there's an interesting component about this. Look, every year, new screen, new camera, blah, 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 blah. But the bit that they're really highlighting, and I think this is moving forward where it's going to be, because we've reached a point of diminishing marginal returns on phones, right?
Yeah.
Like no one is in their right mind, unless your business is paying for it, is upgrading every year, right? 20 megapixel, 50 megapixel, 200 megapixel. Like
phones are like $2,500.
yeah. So like it's not happening, but they're really pushing Galaxy AI.
In the branding as well.
In the branding. So what is Galaxy AI? Well, it's basically, it's kind of stuff like we've seen in the Google Pixel, in that they're now focusing on the software and the enhancements that you can do in the software. And I'll give you a couple of examples here to differentiate it. And this is pretty smart on Samsung's perspective. And I think basically gives us a little bit of a direction as to where I think the smartphone industry needs to go, right?
Yeah.
But Samsung AI, they've got stuff like a voice memo, which basically, you know, in the same way that you can just record stuff.
Yeah.
If you record, the example that they gave is a lecture. At the end of pressing, you know, record, it can actually spit out and summarize points and stuff like that. So that's pretty good. There's web searches via circling images.
Oh, okay.
So that's really pretty good.
You can sort of do that in
the Pixel,
iPhone.
though. Can you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It identifies stuff and you can search for it.
They've got a phone call live translation. So, for example, if I was calling someone in China that speak Mandarin and I don't want to, you could upload it, and that's pretty good. If you need that as a use case, that's a pretty good example. So,
and to think that is basically the version 1 of that software, of that translator. And I saw it. It's like, you know, you say something and then it says it in like the translated language.
And it can do it in real time as well.
But imagine it was more real time.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine it was, you'd speak and straight away the other person would hear it in that other language.
Yeah.
Which I think we're heading towards as well.
Yeah. Well, but what's your thoughts initially of like software becoming the differentiation? Because here's the thing, right? This is a concept, makes all the sense in the world. Like, why are we bothering about like the incremental upgrades in chip and I'm just using it for Instagram and Facebook. Like, I don't need it to load any faster. Is this the way forward for smartphone companies to differentiate?
The hardware market for phones is saturated.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah. Same thing for like computers, right? Remember when you got 256, 1 gig terabyte of RAM? I'm like, how much RAM do you need at a certain point,
It's
right?
saturated, the hardware market. The only way people can go forward is with software, and the latest trend in software is AI. Now, the thing is, this is sort of moving towards that future that you see in that movie Her, and I keep referencing that movie, so you definitely watch it. But it is sort of that future, and we've seen other devices that have come up recently called the Rabbit R1, which is like a pocket device, which is all based on AI. The whole thing is AI, and all you do is you talk to it, you interact with it, and it's not a phone. It's just literally you talk to it and it does all the stuff for you. Like, oh, I need to get to, you know, like George Street, and then like it books an Uber straight away. I was like, yeah, the Uber's here, go get it. So we'll see more of that. Like with like Apple hasn't done anything yet. I mean, we have Siri, but like it's very bare bones. But the evolution of Siri with AI hasn't happened yet. And I think behind the scenes, I'm hearing that they're investing big into it.
Yeah.
But when Apple does it, that's when it's going to be massive. But the Samsung demo and what they've shown is what I see Google doing as well. So Google's already invested a lot in AI.
Yeah. So you know what's the interesting thing about the Samsung Galaxy AI?
Yeah.
It's powered by Bard. It's powered by Gemini, right?
Yeah.
So this to me is interesting because this is like a frenemies dynamic.
Yeah.
Like if you are well, it's a bit aggressive, a bit exaggerated, but like if you're building your platform, firstly, it makes sense for Google. A lot of these features, if you think about it, they are in the Pixel, kind of. Especially the image modulation where you can change and remove. The Pixel's done it, which means that the Pixel's definitely using the Google AI. So this is a revenue stream for Google, which makes all the sense of the world. ChatGPT is doing it with GTP. But I would be very wary of building a lot of my functionality on it because there's such a dependency there. And you have the same thing with like Apple and the App Store and all that. What's to say if for example, they go down 3 generations and they've built, because this is V1, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to build new use cases. They're going to sharpen the existing use cases so it gets really better. People are used to it. So what happened if Google says, you know what? I'm going to raise the rent 5x or whatever for the use of this, and Samsung says like, hell no, I'm not interested.
Well,
in
here's
that.
what I see happening, and it does relate again to that movie. In that movie, you install OSs onto your phone, right?
Yeah.
The phone is a blank canvas. It's a piece of hardware, but then the OSs all have personalities.
Yeah.
All different personalities, and that's where I see the future going. Right? People are going to be making different type of OSs. The phones are going to be blank canvases. You just can go walk around JB Hi-Fi and you can talk to different OSs and be like, "Oh, I kind of like that one. That one's kind of cool. I'm going to install this into my phone. How much is that? $500? Okay, boom.
Yeah.
And then literally you talk to that OS like it's a friend.
Yeah.
That's the future. That's where I see it. That's where the differentiating factor is going to be, because hardware is already saturated.
Yeah.
I don't know whether Apple with its closed system will do that, but I think Android phones are going to get that massive transformation where there'll be a bunch of different OSs that will sort of go into it.
See, software as a differentiator is a very interesting thing, because so I was Samsung before.
Yeah.
So I've changed to Oppo, right?
Yeah.
So Android, right? And the core experience is the same, which is why for at least Android peeps, and even if I move to iPhone,
It's
the
similar.
core experience is the same.
Yeah.
So just say, what's another big HP, Oppo as well. Like just say they decide to go down, and they have versions of this already.
Yeah.
It's a lot of same, right?
Yeah.
So like you said, like how do you differentiate if software is going to be the new battleground? How do you say
Personality. That's how you differentiate.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
right?
But what
these OSs, these AIs.
but
will
what
have
is
different
personality, right? Because everyone can create like an app that does
So
relatively the
in that
similar
movie,
thing, right?
Yeah, the Scarlett Johansson is the voice that's talking to Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
As the OS, right?
Yeah.
As the AI OS. She has a very husky voice. She's very sensitive and stuff like that. But imagine you can get one that talks like Vivek. very salesman
You
like.
just can't let this guy go.
Very
eh?
brash. Very
Very VP, you know.
That's what people will be buying, right? In the future.
Yeah.
They'll be buying, like, it's an OS will be like an AI friend
Yeah.
that does everything for you, that does all your work, that books all your your trips, books your Ubers, like does it all, and all you're doing is talking to it. It's be like, oh, well, how's your day? Yeah, I did this. Oh, can you just make sure you make a note of that? And like and can you get me some food later on, like in around 7:00?
Yeah.
Surprise me. Stuff like that. You'll be talking like that to an OS.
Yeah.
Instead of like the robotic way you talk right now, it's like, hey Siri, can you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Like that's gonna go away.
Yeah.
And when you have more of a connection,
Siri's on it, mate.
Damn,
Like,
man,
trying
Siri's
to
listening.
replace me.
Oh man. But yeah, that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get people like more personality in these OSs, and that's how companies are gonna differentiate. I see maybe most of the hardware phone manufacturers not sort of continuing in hardware anymore
Yeah.
and
Oh, for
focusing
sure.
on software.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of Android ones, right?
Heaps.
And Apple's like a massive company they can keep doing for phones forever if they
Yeah.
wanted to, right? But even they're seeing that it's saturated and the sales are
Well, they're not growing at the same level.
yeah,
right?
they're not growing.
Which
They're
there's no need to,
slightly
right?
declining even, like
Yeah.
right? So it's they don't see hardware as the way going forward. It has to be software.
Yeah, no, I agree. To me, it's just I'll be very intrigued to see how we differentiate it, because again, there's a dearth of software everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of open source stuff that's free that does the job very well. So
And, like this is like evolving like crazy, right? 1 year, like
Yeah.
30 episodes we've been talking about this,
yeah,
and the way it's evolved is crazy. Where do you see this in like? Because I was thinking that we're in the dial-up stages of AI, right?
Yeah.
We're in dial-up, but it took 20 years for dial-up to become for the internet to become what it is now, like really gigabit speeds and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
What do you see in the evolution of AI in 20 years, or do you think it's going to be even quicker?
I think the rate of progression is going to be quick, but I think the rate of progression right now is measured in like the normal metrics of speed, processing power, etc., etc. Once a company revolutionizes what a practical use case can be that people stick to, that, and we're going to talk about, for example, the Vision Pro, which the concept is the same, that makes sense, and it's the next thing that I can't live without because there's almost an addictive element, then it's there. And I don't think any company has figured that out now, because
The way the smartphone became an addictive, sort of,
element
you
that you
know?
needed to have, right?
Yeah.
And in a way that, for example, like streaming, like music evolved from downloading MP3s CDs to MP3s to now streaming sort of music to whatever is next. I think you're right. We're definitely in the dial-up phase. I don't know because I can't visualize a world and what that kind of looks like, but we can see worlds there. I think what needs to happen is an amalgamation of really big players and exclusivity and like tribes between AI technology companies, be it Tesla, be it ChatGPT, OpenAI. And as far as we're concerned, Apple is an AI. It is. It's going to be.
Yeah.
Samsung is now going to be an AI player, and Meta. So I think
Meta's doing a lot in AI.
Meta's doing heaps in the download. So like all these companies, I think, for example, if like Samsung merges with Meta, and they like where you're and you can only if I said you could only download Facebook via Samsung, what would that do? That's the division. Like you need exclusivity, right? That's always been a business concept to do it. And right now there is no exclusivity, and that's what makes it easier to push it out there. But it makes it harder to. I think it's up to which companies are willing to disrupt at that level. Yeah. Which companies are willing to contract to expand to kind of get there and integrate technology with hardware. Because really, and I wanted to talk about the Samsung Ring, which we don't know much apart from the fact that it's like going to be a health ring there. Yeah. Makes all the sense in the world because I hate wearing like whoops and shit like that. Like to do like a ring makes sense because people can sleep with their ring. It's going to be wearable tech. It's going to be those chips that we've been talking about or whatever it looks like. And we're going to talk about the Vision Pro, but the Vision Pro is bulky, dude. Who's going to wear that shit, right? Yeah. It has to be like this. Yeah. Like it has to be something like that.
That's the form factor that, and we'll talk more about it. We'll talk more about the Vision Pro. But like, wearable tech is going to be where it's at next. And it hasn't taken off as much as I thought it would at the moment, but we're very early in what it can do. Yeah. Right? There's like smart glasses, I think, are the way forward. I think, right? Yeah. Because I looked at the Meta, the Ray-Ban glasses that are in stores now, right? Yeah. You can record 60 seconds of video. You can connect it to your Facebook and Instagram Live and all that sort of stuff. Very impressive, I got to say. Like it was actually, I tried them on and the speakers and all that. I was like, this is interesting.
It's like, what, 350 Australian? It's not that expensive if you really wanted to, right? Yeah.
And I was half thinking of getting it even. Yeah. I was like, this is kind of cool. That'll be cool as an action camera in a way, right? Yeah. Like your point of view camera.
Yeah. All those POV vlogs, it makes sense.
And I'm just, and it's just like, I wonder what this tech would be even in 3 years. Yeah. Right? And we saw recently at CES, Samsung unveil, I think, the transparent LED tech, which I think doesn't have that much use case other than with AR. Yeah. It's been made for AR. They didn't show anything with AR there. Yeah. But the tech, I believe, is made for AR. Yeah. That was the biggest problem with getting that sort of form factor with sort of the Ray-Ban sort of style. Yeah. Is the fact that how would you project onto that? Yeah. And I think that transparent micro LED is a solution.
Yeah. It's already happening, but who are the players? Yeah. Who are the hardware providers? Who are the software providers? And how will they symbiotically work together to make it an absolute necessity? And how will we be able to push it to the mass market?